7 signs your lawn is dying before it's too late. A lush, green lawn is often considered one of the most valuable features of a home's exterior, contributing not only to curb appeal but also to property value and outdoor enjoyment. Yet many homeowners fail to notice the early warning signs that their lawn is struggling until the damage becomes severe or, in worst cases, irreversible. Understanding these signs early can mean the difference between a simple fix and a complete lawn replacement. Lawns are living ecosystems made up of grass, soil, microorganisms, and countless interacting factors including water, sunlight, and nutrients. When any of these elements fall out of balance, the grass begins sending distress signals long before it turns brown and dies completely. Recognizing these signals requires a trained eye and regular observation, but the indicators themselves are not difficult to identify once a homeowner knows what to look for. 1. Discoloration and uneven coloring. One of the earliest and most telling signs of a struggling lawn is a change in color. Healthy grass typically displays a vibrant, uniform green hue. When a lawn begins to die, however, it often develops patches of yellow, brown, or even a grayish tint. This discoloration rarely happens uniformly across the entire yard. Instead, it tends to appear in irregular patches that can spread if left untreated. Experts note that yellowing can result from a variety of causes, including nutrient deficiencies, improper watering, pest infestations, or fungal disease. Brown patches, on the other hand, are frequently associated with drought stress, grub damage, or compacted soil that prevents roots from accessing water and nutrients effectively. A grayish or bluish tint is sometimes an indicator of drought stress specifically, as grass blades curl and lose their reflective sheen when deprived of adequate moisture. Homeowners should pay close attention, not just to the presence of discoloration but to its pattern. Circular patches often suggest fungal issues, while streaky or linear, discoloration may point to problems with an irrigation system's coverage. Random patches with no clear pattern are frequently linked to insect activity or dog urine spots. 2. Thinning grass and bare spots. As a lawn's health declines, the density of grass blades per square foot begins to decrease. This thinning is often gradual, making it easy to overlook until bare patches of soil become clearly visible. Thinning typically starts in high-traffic areas, such as pathways, play areas, or spots near a driveway where foot traffic compacts the soil and stresses the grass roots. According to lawn care specialists, thinning can also occur across an entire yard as a result of poor soil fertility, incorrect mowing height, or insufficient sunlight. Grass that is mowed too short is particularly vulnerable, as this practice removes too much of the blade's surface area, limiting the plant's ability to photosynthesize and store energy for root development. Bare spots are the more advanced stage of thinning, where grass has died completely in localized areas. These spots are especially concerning because they create opportunities for weeds to establish themselves, further crowding out any remaining healthy grass and accelerating the lawn's overall decline. 3. Grass that doesn't spring back. A simple but effective test that many lawn care professionals recommend involves walking across the grass and observing how quickly the blades recover. Healthy, well-hydrated grass will spring back into an upright position within a few seconds to a couple of minutes after being stepped on. If footprints remain visible for an extended period, or if the grass stays flattened, this is a strong indication that the lawn is dehydrated and under stress. This lack of resilience occurs because water gives grass blades their turgor pressure, essentially the internal water pressure that keeps plant cells rigid. When a lawn is dehydrated, cells lose this pressure, and the blades become limp and slow to recover. While occasional footprint marks after a hot, dry day are normal, persistent flattening across multiple days or weeks suggests a more chronic watering problem that needs to be addressed before permanent damage sets in. 4. Weed overgrowth. While a few stray weeds are common in nearly every lawn, a sudden or significant increase in weed population is often a symptom of an underlying issue rather than the primary problem itself. Weeds are opportunistic, plants that thrive in conditions where grass is weak or struggling, taking advantage of thinning areas, bare patches, and nutrient-poor soil to establish themselves. Certain weed species can even serve as diagnostic indicators for specific lawn problems. For instance, an abundance of clover often points to nitrogen-deficient soil, since clover has the ability to fix its own nitrogen and therefore thrives where grass cannot. Similarly, widespread moss growth typically signals poor drainage, excessive shade, or overly acidic soil conditions, all of which create an environment where turf grass struggles to compete. When weeds begin to outcompete grass across large sections of a yard, it is a clear sign that the lawn's overall health has deteriorated enough to allow these hardier plants to gain the upper hand. Addressing the root cause, whether it be soil pH, drainage, or fertility, is essential for reclaiming the lawn from persistent weed pressure. 5. Visible insect activity or damage. Insect infestations are among the most destructive threats to lawn health, and their damage can escalate quickly if not caught early. Grubs, chinch bugs, and sod webworms are among the most common culprits behind significant lawn damage in many regions. These pests feed on grass roots or blades, weakening the plant's structure from below or above ground. One telltale sign of grub damage is turf that lifts easily from the soil, almost like a loose carpet, because the grubs have severed the root system that normally anchors the grass in place. Homeowners may also notice increased activity from birds, moles, or skunks digging in the lawn, as these animals are often attracted by the presence of grubs as a food source. Chinch bugs and other surface-feeding insects tend to cause irregular brown patches that can be mistaken for drought stress, making proper diagnosis important before treatment begins. A simple way to check for insect activity involves cutting a small square of turf and examining the soil and root area for the presence of larvae or insects. Catching an infestation early can prevent it from spreading across the entire lawn. 6. Fungal growth or disease patterns. Fungal diseases represent another major threat to lawn vitality, often appearing as distinct patterns that differ from typical drought or pest damage. Conditions such as brown patch, dollar spot, and rust are relatively common in lawns, particularly during periods of high humidity or when grass remains wet for extended periods. These diseases often manifest as circular or ring-shaped patches, sometimes accompanied by a distinct color change at the edges of the affected area. Some fungal issues also produce a powdery or slimy texture on the grass blades themselves, which can be seen upon close inspection, especially in the early morning when dew is present. Poor air circulation, overwatering, and mowing with dull blades can all contribute to an environment where fungal spores thrive. Because fungal diseases can spread rapidly under the right conditions, identifying the specific pattern and texture of the affected areas is crucial for selecting an appropriate treatment and preventing further spread across the lawn. 7. Soil that is hard, compacted, or poorly draining. Beneath the visible symptoms of a struggling lawn often lies a less obvious but equally important issue: soil health. Compacted soil restricts root growth and limits the movement of water, air, and nutrients to the grass's root system. Over time, this compaction can starve grass of what it needs to thrive, leading to many of the symptoms described above. A simple test for compaction involves inserting a screwdriver or similar tool into the soil. If it is difficult to push in more than an inch or two, the soil is likely too compacted for healthy root development. Additionally, water that pools on the surface rather than absorbing into the ground after rainfall or irrigation is another strong indicator of drainage problems, often caused by compacted or clay-heavy soil. Soil testing can also reveal imbalances in pH or nutrient levels that might not be immediately visible but are nonetheless contributing to a lawn's decline. Addressing soil health through aeration, top dressing with compost, or amending pH levels is often a foundational step in reviving a lawn that shows multiple signs of distress. Why early detection matters. Lawn care professionals consistently emphasize that catching these warning signs early dramatically increases the likelihood of a full recovery. A lawn that is caught in the early stages of decline, whether from dehydration, pest activity, or nutrient deficiency, can often be restored through targeted interventions such as adjusted watering schedules, targeted fertilization, or pest control treatments. However, when these signs are ignored or go unnoticed for extended periods, the damage can become severe enough that entire sections of the lawn die off completely. At that point, the only viable solution may be reseeding or resodding, both of which are significantly more time-consuming and costly than addressing the underlying issue when it first appeared. Regular observation of the lawn, ideally on a weekly basis during the growing season, allows homeowners to catch subtle changes before they escalate. Combining visual inspection with basic tests, such as the footprint test or the screwdriver soil test, provides a more complete picture of the lawn's overall health beyond what is visible on the surface alone. Conclusion. A dying lawn rarely happens overnight. Instead, it is typically the result of a gradual accumulation of stressors, whether related to water, soil, pests, or disease, that build up over time until the grass can no longer sustain itself. By learning to recognize the 7 warning signs outlined above, discoloration, thinning, poor resilience, weed overgrowth, insect activity, fungal patterns, and soil compaction, homeowners can intervene at the right moment to save their lawns before the damage becomes irreversible. Vigilance, combined with a willingness to investigate the root cause of any visible symptom, remains the most effective strategy for maintaining a healthy, thriving lawn for years to come.